Hi, I'm Andrew Wasson. Thanks for joining me for my weekly guitar blog. It's June 30th, 2013, and this week we're going to cover chord tone target practice. And this is a question that was sent in from Evan. He's in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada, and he wrote in with this email to me. I totally have my scales down really good, but I keep hearing how the best players target into chord tones and into color tones. My frustration is mainly with not being in any way able to do this idea of targeting. So how in the world can I learn to target some certain tone? Seems impossible to me. Hope you can help me with this. It's a complete mystery. From Evan in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. Well, hey, thanks for writing in, Evan. The entire idea of playing our scales so that we're either going to start or finish our melodic statements on specific notes is one that really requires a great deal of both knowledge and practice. You know, as guitar players are working on their soloing, generally what happens is they take on a very different path compared to many other musical instruments. You know, for instance, most other musicians will learn how to read exceptionally well before doing any kind of soloing, and also a good deal more in the world of playing other instruments will learn a lot of music theory and chord construction and even harmony concepts compared to the average guitarist out there. Now, in fact, the extent of most of the typical training on guitar revolves mainly around learning popular songs and memorizing several geometrical shapes and patterns on the guitar neck. So when it comes to taking on a big task, such as learning how to target into specific chord tones, it's something of a monumental one, since most players are too unfamiliar with much of the theory it actually takes to accomplish this. But to help get you started with this and guide you through the process, let's just go ahead and zoom in on the guitar neck and try a number of chord tone targeting ideas that should help to at least get you started with this concept. In order to know where chord tones are located, you'll need to study music theory and chord tone construction principles. But you'll also need to really get to know where the notes are located upon the neck. You need to know that that's a D, that's a E, you know, this is an F, that's a B flat. So what you need to get that down is, aside from music reading notation studies, those are excellent, but you need some kind of note locating drill that you do at least once a day for quite some time. It's just an excellent way to nail down your note locations. With my students, I like the process of selecting a position on the neck. We'll go here with the fifth position, so we're not going to go outside that boundary line there. And that also means that because we're in fifth position, you got 4 fingers, 4 frets, 4 position, and we're just going to be working within this range only. And we'll shoot across the position from actually the 5th guitar string because, we're going to have the same notes anyway located on the 1st guitar string. So, and on top of that, most people really get to know their 6th quite quickly anyhow. So we're going to skip the 6th string. We're going to start from the 5th string, and we're going to call out notes as we go across the position. Now, one interesting idea I want to mention is that when you're doing this anywhere on the neck, you'll very likely wind up missing out on a note or two due to the tuning difference between the 3rd and the 2nd guitar strings. Now, what I think is important to understand, this is perfectly fine. In fact, this generally helps students understand the neck even better, since the notes that get lost tend to stick in the student's memory better than as if we plotted each note in perfect order across the neck. Now, so for our layout, we're going to start on a D on the 5th string, 5th fret. We'll have D, E, F on that string, and also, have an awareness that between the D and E, we have either a D sharp or an E flat. There's also on the next string G and A notes, and above the A you could have A sharp or B flat, or you could have A flat or G sharp behind that A. On the next string we're just going to have C and D. We're going to miss the B note because it's out of the position. It's actually at the 4th fret, but we're not using the 4th fret because we're sticking solely in the 5th position here. So we go G, A, and then to C and D. It's almost like a pentatonic idea. Then we're going to move to the 2nd string. We'll have E, F, G, and then A, B, C. So here we go. Here's the whole position: D, E, F, G, A, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And then you can work it backwards, call out the letter names backwards as you go. But this is just the exercise that I've used around my studio for a long time, and I get students to go home, practice it, and say the notes out loud, and then we come back in, and after doing maybe about 5 different positions across the neck, and maybe even upwards of about, 6 to 7 or 8 weeks of practice on this, they tend to really get to know their fretboards quite well. So it's an excellent study. Start with that. Have that as a part of daily routine. If you do not know your notes very well on the neck, it will help a lot. Okay, let's work out some targeted lines now. Let's get to the whole direction of this lesson plan. And I should mention that it's very important to learn the chord tones and the construction formulas for the chords that are most common out there. This would commonly be major and minor triads. You should know that an A major triad has A, C sharp, and E. The minor drops the C sharp down to C natural, so you have C natural, A, C natural, E. And you should get to know your major sevenths and your minor sevenths, get to know their chord tones. Dominant seventh chords, of course, very important. Study a little bit of augmented and diminished. This work combined altogether really is going to help you get to know your guitar fretboard a lot better too. And it'll give you the foundation to be able to start the practice of going and targeting chord tones and even the extensions. If you need to do a 13th or a 9 or an 11th or something. Now, anyway, let's go to work on the first example here. I want to go and work out a very common approach that deals with targeting thirds and fifths, actually. The chord that we're going to use in the first example is just going to be this common A major seventh chord. And we're going to start off taking a look at the major third as our starting tone. So we're going to be picking a C sharp note as our starting tone into the phrase. I should mention this is a strong and very important chord tone. I would even say that a lot of work should go in the beginning in finding out where your thirds are located through a position. It's going to be very helpful to you because they're such a strong chord tone. Now the lick is going to actually end, this lick that I have, it's going to end on a fifth. So that's another fairly strong chord tone. It's a nice note to end on. Yourself, power chords they're built with the fifth. They have a lot of punch to them, those power chords. It's a very unique chord for all your rock and metal stuff. So first of all, here's the chord, once again, A major 7. And here's the melody. One more time. So that's the first example. So we're starting on the third, and we're ending on the fifth. Starting on C sharp, ending on the E. C sharp is the third of A major 7, E is the fifth. That's how that stuff works. Now let's flip to the extension world next here. Our extended tone will be a 13th that we're going to put on this A major 7 for our next example. That's going to wind up being an F sharp for us on A. So F sharp. So it'd be, if you added it into an A major 7, you'd have A major 13 chord. But we're not going to do an A major 13. We're just going to play A major 7th, and we're going to superimpose the sound of a 13 by working off of the F sharp. And the resolution tone that we're going to have will be coming around here into, let's see here, we're going to come into a B on that A chord. So we're going to come into the 9th. So once again, here's how it sounds. So we're targeting extensions now rather than the thirds or the fifths or the sevenths of chords. And it's a little bit more colorful sound. It's kind of an interesting idea to mess around with. Once again on that one, we started on the F sharp and we ended on the B. So we were doing colors around A major 13 as well as A major 9. Now, in the next example, I'll be doing a few things differently here with the targeting practice. For one, I'll shift the chord quality over to minor. So we're going to be operating around a minor color now. And to mess around with the harmony, our chord will include an extension this time of a 9th. So we'll actually be using A minor 9th. And the second different concept we'll try is that of avoiding the chord's strong color-defining tone, which in this case is that minor third. So it's the C natural tone. We'll target out the melody starting from the extended note of the 9th, and we'll resolve upon a lower interval of the 9th as well. So here's the sound of the chord, and here's the melodic idea. it is again. So when you do have an extension present in a chord, like in this case in the A minor 9, we have this B present. So it's very strong and it's up at the top of the chord, so it's really rich sounding, it's right in your face. Makes for a very cool line to focus from the start and the end primarily into that extension. So very cool idea. Now for my final example I have for you, it's going to operate around the chord quality, this time of dominant 7th. And this time our target practice is working off of the root into the chord's extended tone. In this case it's an extension of a 13th. So the extension is F sharp on this A dominant sound. A dominant 13th is the chord and the 13th is the F sharp. But to get things going from the top, we're going to come from the root of the chord. Now, it can sound kind of cheesy sometimes if you're always playing off the root or if you're always resolving onto the root of the octave of a chord, but it can also sound very strong. And it's probably one of the strongest ways to target from the root over into the extension. So our guitar melodic statement is going to come from the A note, which is the root, obviously, of the A13 chord, and we're going to end the line on the 13, which is the F sharp tone. Okay, so here's the chord. And there's that lick. Here's the chord again. You can hear the strength of the root coming in from the beginning, and then the line flows through, and then finishing on that 13. That's a nice sound. Well, in my own studio, when I teach the process of practicing chord tone targeting, I always stress the importance of 3 main areas that correspond to this course of study. They are, number 1, the constant development of one's ability to know how to read music notation very well. There simply is no better way to learn the notes upon the fingerboard than that of reading music notation. It also helps immensely with the development of rhythmic meter and with the thorough understanding of rhythmic duration. Now, the second area that is a good course of study to get into heavily is harmony and theory, especially the study of intervals and chord construction. If you do not know how chords are built and how they interact with other chords, you will never be clear on the areas of voice leading and harmonic arrangement. The final area, the third area, is that of developing study plans or practice guides for yourself. It's vital to have an outline of exactly how you will be approaching the practice of certain material, since certain topics like this one will take a very long time to develop to a high enough level that they will be useful to you in all of your different guitar playing projects. Anyway, that's about all the time I have for today. As always, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great week, and I'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now.